It's Claris Talk AI. Our guest today is Jonn Howell, Data Experience. Welcome, sir.
Oh, hi, Matt.
You and I have known each other for a long time.
Yeah, probably pushing
Decades.
20 years.
Yeah, maybe even more. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
So I wanted you on the podcast today because you are organizing this crazy conference, and
Yeah.
I wanted to hear about it, kind of find out why you're doing it, what it's all about. Give us the rundown.
Okay, and I have a website up when we're ready to look at that.
Hmm.
It's full access is the name of it with the brackets because full access is a security,
Privilege set.
right?
Hmm.
Privilege set in
Love the name.
FileMaker. Yeah, actually, Mike Ross came up with that name, and Mike Ross and I talked one night about doing this, and I go, we got to find a name, and you're really good at dad jokes. Come up with them. It took him 20 minutes. He came up with one. I go, no, not that. And he goes, how about full access? I go, oh, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And then everybody I've talked to going, oh, cool name,
yeah.
because what does it
Well,
imply,
like
right?
pause on error, the same thing, right? It's a
Right,
it's an in joke in FileMaker,
right.
and then the pause part is like really good.
Take a break. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
For us,
exactly.
it's
And then
like we want to make it vulnerable, want to make it not vulnerability, but an open spirited thing where everybody can see everything and there's no secrets
mhm,
and we're all equal. It's an egalitarian type of thing. I want it to be a leveling event. Like you don't
mhm.
have to be the rock superstar. And you could be the new person. We don't care what your background or lifestyle is. We want everybody to equally feel welcome and encouraged and celebrated. So the term full access just was like open doors type of thing, right?
So just with those last couple sentences, I can see immediately one of the things about your personality that I love, and that is that you're much more like open and spiritual, and
Hmm.
um, you have a very, very different vibe about you in terms of that openness. And
Oh,
you and I have had some just amazing, deep conversations, much more
we
than I've
have.
had really with maybe anybody in the FileMaker community.
Wow.
Um, and so having the opportunity for you to do this conference and have that, I think I'm really curious to see like what the mix is of what the mix of tech versus these more other things outside of FileMaker. What's your goal there? What's it going to be like?
And I'm kind of urged to say that without going into my background, it's a little bit different than most FileMaker developers, right? I was a
Hmm.
priest, I was an engineer, I was an artist, I was a salesman, a mix of different careers, which
Hmm.
has created kind of a just a different lifestyle profile than most people. So maybe it is a little different just by the nature
Yeah,
of experience. So your question is like, what's our intention?
yeah. The
What's
intention
our,
and the mix of sessions and how
great.
is this different
Okay.
than your regular FileMaker conference?
Okay, I've spoken 20 times at the developers conference and then some online and a whole lot of meetup groups. And up till 15 years ago when Pause on Air became a
Hmm.
thing, I was doing FileMaker Boot Camp for 7 years, which was a small thing also, but
Yeah,
it started in my home in Thousand Oaks, Southern California, where we would just teach people from scratch things. And then
which is kind
Stephen
of what I'm
Gallagher
doing
happened
now.
to be in town. What's that?
That's what I'm doing now. I call it the
Yeah.
FileMaker Champion Series.
Right. So, but I mean, ours was simple. It was what I call meat and potatoes, but it's back in the day when it was an earlier version of FileMaker and we didn't have APIs and we didn't have JSON and we didn't have
Hmm.
AI. It was much simpler and I could almost teach all the courses, although a lot of people came, and then the product line outgrew my wheelhouse, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't going to happen. And then Pause became a popular thing and I've been to 4 or 5 of those and that was wonderful. And what happened, this year was I heard from Chrissy one morning that, well, actually earlier than that, we had been going to that Jewish summer camp place in Georgia for 4 years in a row. And I decided not to go the fourth year because I loved it, but I was like, okay, 4 years in the same place. I wanted it to be something else. And the turnout had dropped for whatever reason. But it was wonderful, and I was participating a lot in that, and I was giving classes. In fact, Mike Ross and I gave a class that was very well received, and it was called Pause on Perfection, about the good and the bad side of perfectionism. And I
Hmm.
took the side of perfectionism's important, and he took the side of perfection's the enemy of the good. And
You
and
just
and
switch it
that
up.
was a really well received session. So I had good experience in there, and then I was looking to try to find an alternate location for Pause on Air, just to suggest it, like, hey, Lake Tahoe maybe, or the Olympic
Hmm.
Peninsula, or somewhere different.
Hmm.
And I couldn't. I spent 6 months emailing, calling. I couldn't find anything that wasn't like all bunk beds. And I said, you're not going to get a 60-year-old man to sleep in a bunk bed, so that's not going to work. And
Unless you're a priest.
what's that?
Unless you're a priest or were a priest.
Yeah, I can't sleep like that.
Yeah,
And
I
being
can, but I'd
6
rather
foot,
not.
6'4", 6'5", you're not going to sleep like that. So, and I said some prayers about it literally one night, and I had a kind of a vision. And then the next morning, I get an email from this Jesuit retreat center in Los Altos, which is 8 miles from Cupertino, where Apple and Claris headquarters are. I thought, wow. They go, we have the right location for you. We can hold 150 people. They're regular beds. We got tons of meeting rooms, 30 acres of hiking. I go, great. Now I'll just call Chrissy and say, let's do it there. And literally within an hour, I'm having coffee after I got that email thinking, now what am I going to tell Chrissy? I get an email from her. She goes, we're not doing Pause on Air. And it happened that fast. Within 1 hour of me finding a location, they backed out. And I looked at the sky over coffee. Dear Lord, what am I going to do? And it just came to me, well, you do it. But I don't mean you and your ego, John, not you. I mean you and your friends. So you know a lot of people. Start making phone calls. And I'm like, well, that sounds fun. It was like a conversation in my head. So I stopped working for 10 days, and all I did was call developers. I called 40 people. I said, I got this idea. Pause isn't happening. We're going to do a substitute event for Pause. I've got the facility. Would you be interested? Oh, yeah. 40 people are like, I'm all in, or I want to be in, or this is a great idea. Go for it. And next thing I know, I have a volunteer team of 20 people. When have you ever been to an event where there's 20 people volunteering to put it on who are that behind it? And we built it. I called my dear friend Ron Cates, who is in Kentucky, who runs the Kentuckiana meetup group. And I go, right? And he has a database and a website that manages their events. I said, I've seen that thing, Ron. Is there a possible I could get a copy of your website and database and use it for this event? And this is like magic. He goes, this is like the second day into this. He goes, John, perfect timing. I'm looking for a reason to complete that software that's never been done and roll it out to the general community worldwide. And I go, would you be interested in being involved in this? He's like, absolutely. And then I called Patrick Reagan, who's in Southern California, who had gone through a problem with the big fire in Southern California, and he had to move out of his home. I go, well, you got time? I'll tell you what, I'll have you come for free. If you'll just, as a gift to somebody who lost their home, if you'll just help us out. And he jumped in and he started becoming the designer of the website while Ron was doing the hardcore development.
What's the website, by the way, so we can start?
And it is fullaccess.us, easy enough. The word full, the word access.us, fullaccess.us. We also have an app now that another guy from Texas, Dennis Burnham, put together. So we have like a DevCon to go or Engage to go. It's called Full Access to Go. And it works on WebDirect, and it works on FileMaker Go. It'll work on any device, on any platform. So I just started getting people like, well, let's put this together. I don't know what we're doing. And I just called everybody I know, and I said, well, let's together figure this out, because I've never thrown on anything at the level of Pause on Air. And so what I was, I called Chrissy. I said, can we talk so I could find out what I can do that's good, what I can do that's wrong? How can you help me not fall into a ditch with this, right? Not screw it up. And then I called John Sindelar, and they each gave me a half an hour interview, and I go, tell me what to do and what to expect. John said, it takes 1,000 hours to produce an event like this. And I looked at it,
Yeah.
I laughed. I said, bullshit, John. I could do this in 300 or 400. No big deal.
Sure.
No. Now that I'm 2,000 hours into it,
Yeah.
and we're still 5 weeks out, he was understating them. This is a big effort, a big sacrifice.
And that was when the conferences were smaller and easier, right? Like John did the first Pause, I think, and I did several with him, and then others after that.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I was there with you in Portland, you and him in Portland, and Ernest and everybody.
Yeah.
So we just started putting it together and figuring it out, and now we have. We still need more attendance. Attendance isn't quite where we'd like to be, but we have like 40 different sessions already booked.
Yeah, it looks like it's 4 days long of conference stuff, right? So it's not short.
Yeah, we thought Pause on Air was one day too short, and so we were going to make it 3.5 technically. 3 nights, 3.5 days. It starts Monday at 9, and it's over Thursday at 2, and then we're all going to take a tour of the Computer History Museum in Mountain View, which is
fun.
I've seen Steve Wozniak give tours of that. That's like a really cool museum.
Oh, that would be really cool. So so back to the mix of the sessions. Are
Yeah.
you just, is it like, what is your goal, just to be the regular mix of technical, or do you curate a certain type?
And again, we're learning from Pause on Air where there were technical sessions and there were interpersonal sessions, I'll call it, little fluffier ones. And we're doing those, but not so many. This is 87% technical sessions. There's one session, and I can roll you through the list. There's one session that's not technical. It's red flags with clients during project discovery. That's good. We've got one on how to retire, or what do you do if you're a one-man shop and you want to grow it. Then we have a number of sessions on AI. We have, I think Michael Wallace is coming, who wrote a lot of the software for Ronnie Rios, right?
Yeah.
He's talking on AI. Kevin Frank is coming to talk a lot about JSON and virtual lists. So we're going to go into depth on that.
Area. He's just north of there in California, right?
Right. It's a drive down.
Yep.
We've got several sessions on JSON and JSON custom functions, and Kevin's involved in those.
Yep.
APIs, FileMaker data API, different script steps. We have some of the classes are presentation and audience, and then question and answer. And some are just panel discussions where 3 or 4 people are going to say, I'm going to be on the panel, but it's just a discussion.
It's shaping up to be like a fall DevCon, kind of.
Yeah, it is.
And I still kind of use the old terms, DevCon, rather than, the current term Engage.
I'm glad you said that. We're trying to blend what was Pause on Air, with what was the old developers conference, unlike Engage, where it was really technical. We're trying to marry those two, and I think we've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, well, not only for the sessions, but which I think you, from what you're describing, you definitely have done. But also like the feel. I don't know, like it's a little bit of a soapbox. I think a lot of people feel the same way. Engage, by being where it has been, there's not the cohesion of everything in one spot, right? So like, it's at the Apple campus where there is no hotel. It's kind of a ways away from any of the hotels. And then people are in different hotels, even though this is kind of a main area.
It's disparate. I met you there last year at Engage. It was disparate.
And then, so it's really hard. There was people that I was really hoping to meet up with that I just never did. There's even some people I didn't even see who were at that event. And, people I've known in the community and never even actually saw them, which is crazy.
Right.
Let alone sat down and had a conversation. And that wasn't the case with DevCon of past, right? When we had it like at, when you're all in one place and you're kind of there.
Right.
And, a significant percentage of the people who are at the facility, if not everyone, is in your group. It's different. It's a different kind of a thing. And I really like that. So
when you have
Engage U, which is really sort of the DevCon of Europe.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to be, that's
Hotel?
really growing. I think they're going to be aiming to 300, 400, 500, 600 people at that conference. It's going to be as big as, it's going to be maybe as big as Engage in the US at some point.
Right.
Very well organized. And they completely have their religion about the same religion that you have, I believe, about having it be kind of the right number of days and then mix of the sessions and also in one place.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's key.
I'll throw in that, because when Pause on Air, we started in hotels, the Ace Hotel. I was there with you in Portland. I remember in 2010. Yeah, I was in the bath. There's a picture of me in the bathtub. Yeah. When I was listening to Matt Petrowski's class. But when Pause moved to that Jewish summer camp, which is, first of all, remote, so there's nowhere really to go. You're going to be there the whole time, and there was a lot to do. And because it was known to be a religious facility, right? I mean, very few people there's Jewish people in our community, but it was few. So people didn't go there for religion. But what I noticed is because it was a religious facility, people showed up with a certain amount of awe and dignity, respect, and grace. Like, I want to be well behaved. This is a sacred, kind of subconsciously they pick up, it's a sacred place, I want to behave well. And that made it feel really together, and people were more open and vulnerable because it was that kind of thing.
So is it like a different kind of a sacred experience to like a Hilton or a Marriott sacred?
Yeah, not quite the same, huh? Well, that's why we got the Jesuit Retreat Center, which is basically a very highly structured Catholic denomination, right?
Yeah.
You know more about that than me probably, but they're pretty structured, right?
They're structured, but they're also like very, very I aspired to be a Jesuit priest back in the day, like a long time ago. You don't have that
Aha.
experience. Jesuits pretty much have PhDs in theology. It's kind of the
Okay.
thing. They're very, very focused on education.
Right.
And when you have a bunch of people who have PhDs, the you can't hold on to beliefs that are obviously wrong when you have a lot of education. The more education you get, the higher likelihood that you're going to give up on things that are false. And
Okay.
so there's and it
That's
sort
cool.
of pushes, I don't want to like be political, but it pushes you towards like the liberal, and acceptance end of things. So a lot of the Jesuits that I knew believed things that were not necessarily mainstream Catholicism. They were much more open-minded, and I really thought that was great back then when I was young. And I
That
think
works well for my
still do.
lifestyle. I actually am involved in 5 different churches of 5 completely different faiths. And on top of that, I often go to Quaker meetings here locally up in Nevada City. So for me, I have that kind of spiritual background of like, I have to keep it. I mean, I met with a minister today for lunch at my Presbyterian church, and I said, although the path is narrow, the experience is broad. I like the diversity, so I don't get narrow-minded or too attached to one point of view and too narrow and too judgmental. I want to stay open-minded so that I can be a better resource for everybody, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
when we found this facility, I thought, well, they made it clear. They go, we have religious retreats on the weekends and secular ones during the week. We're not pushing anything on anybody. We have lots of money. We do this to try to, I'm going to kind of paraphrase Abraham Maslow. And he said, we're doing this to try to facilitate people's own self-actualization, and so they can improve the quality of their lives, whatever that means to them, to have a little time to set aside and be still. They've got 30 acres of trails, a lot of outdoors,
Yeah.
and be still and grow. And I thought, well, that's kind of been the spirit of Pause on Air. And I think if we take that spirit in that environment and then bring in more technical sessions that are more structured, like you did at DevCon, we're going to melt together the best of all possible worlds.
Yep. All right, let's shift gears on some stuff. I want to ask you some questions because you and I nerded out a while ago on WebDirect, if it's okay to like change gears on stuff.
Yeah, it's
You
fine.
had a really large like WebDirect solution, and I think you had like some WebDirect user groups or something. You had really like um, what are the big upshots of that? How did it change your perception of doing development in FileMaker, being that
Well,
deep
good.
in
Well,
WebDirect?
first of all, I know a lot of people are calling for browser-based solutions, and I never really got to be a super expert at HTML and JavaScript, and I'm thinking, well, how much of my life is left to start over again at my age and learn web development? And I had an opportunity to work on a web direct project, one of the basically the very first project, commercial project that ever happened in WebDirect for a large manufacturing company in North America that was shy of a $500,000 project, right? And I cut my teeth on WebDirect. I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't theme and style things properly. I had
Oh
too
God,
many
yeah.
tab panels. I learned a lot. And then I went to John Thatcher and he gave me some incredible insights about how to do it. I could talk about that. And I turned that solution around where, after we finished the project, I never heard from them. And then 6 years later, they go, well, we're going to migrate to Salesforce or something.
Yeah.
Can you do the migration? I like, great. I go, how did it run for you? He goes, we haven't had a crash or a problem in 6 years. We just start the server once a month and we're good. I'm like, what I learned was if you learn the particulars of WebDirect and how it varies from FileMaker and how you have to plan for both,
Yeah.
Mac and PC. I have both here. You can get 90 to 95% of the functionality in FileMaker in a very elegant way, in a beautiful interface that satisfies people's web desire. There's a certain set of skills, and I've given sessions several times at DevCon on that. The one I gave in 2019 before we went to COVID was very well attended, and that was honestly, the best class I've ever given because I practiced it for a year. I took that session to .fmp like 9 months early, practiced it there, took it to user groups.
Oh, okay. So you've been over to the German conference. Cool.
Yeah, that was fun. That was the year that Kevin Frank was supposed to come and he couldn't show up. And then they were going to do the while function, and they ended up changing the class to while Kevin isn't here.
Oh, that's funny.
So I practiced it, and it was well received, and I kept learning. And then I kept doing it. Now I have an open contract with a biotech company now for 18 years, right? And we built this system in IWP. And then they just kept adding to it. And then we rolled it over and then rebuilt it from scratch.
Which you kind of would have to.
You would have to at a
Yeah.
certain point about 13 years ago or whenever. Yeah, well, whenever 13 was out, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
Forget how many years. And then we just keep evolving, and I'm still working on that system today. It's 90% used in WebDirect and 10% for the administrators in FileMaker Pro
There you go.
with really complex dashboard filtering and things like very complex system, 130 tables.
Yeah.
And I'm able to give them things I never imagined you could do in WebDirect with dashboards and filtering and animated charts and all kinds of stuff.
Boy, I tell you what, man, AI is just completely changing my outlook on dashboards and filtering and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. That's happening too.
I actually just yesterday taught a session of my foundations class, and now I'm teaching basic AI stuff as a foundational FileMaker skill because it's so easy to do in the new version. For things like, semantic, fine for one thing, but actually I think much easier, much more accessible is the perform find by natural language.
Right.
So just to put a prompt up there and then have that,
That's
and then let
incredible.
the user type into it. But you can also just have, you can create a report by pre-writing prompts that work, and then giving the user the ability to select them from a list, and then they run the prompt and it runs it against current data, and it'll automatically do very complex searches and or omit, sort, figure out different fields. It's really smart. It takes a look at what's on the layout. So like you can change context. You can take the exact same script and with a button that does it and put on a completely different layout and it will just work. Right. So the flexibility is insane.
Context agnostic.
Yeah, context agnostic, and then it also it looks at what fields are on the layout, right? So there's some new functions in FileMaker that came along specifically to support this feature, and then also it can return the results either as a found set or as JSON. So it can actually say, "Oh, okay, well you're doing a search." I'll just preach a little bit about it because I think this is really huge. Like a light bulb moment for me.
Yeah.
You do a search on a table, like what records match. I don't know, the example I used in class is like what customers have I talked to that are supposed to be having follow-ups at around this time. So people I said I was going to get back to this week, and here they are. So it's going to be like a changing window. And then it can go, so it does the query and finds that set, but then you can also say, what are the information, what do I want to talk to these people about, right? So like it can go through and when it does that search, not only can get you the found set, but you can also get a JSON blob that has information about who they are, but also what you said you were going to talk about and what their previous conversations were. Then from that data, you can do a generative AI call that you send that data into, and you can say, give me a short, like a 1-paragraph summary of what this block looks like. And then the AI is smart. It's going to say, oh, okay, well, you said, like if one of the notes was super important, do this thing, AI is going to go, oh, that's going to be first, I'll list that. And if there's nothing really out of the ordinary, it's going to say, get back to these 17 people. These are the first 5 you're going to do. And then also you can say, you can get a chart, or you can just get a table. It'll just make an HTML table. Or it'll just give you the record IDs, right? So you can get the record IDs, or you can get the IDs, and you can just put them in a regular old portal. So the kind of things you can get, it solves the problem of some of the things that used to be kind of hard to do for dashboard building.
Right.
And just gives you like a simple little small component. And then you can kind of stack those components together and put input to this one, output to this one, and the input of that one, and blah, 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 blah.
You have
So
more
I'm doing a lot of work on
dimensionality.
that. I'm going to be doing that in a lot of the AI classes I teach. To not look at like a big, gigantic AI thing, but like here's a bunch of small ones that you can
Practical
connect
pieces.
together in different ways, right? Like generative AI can do things like, write a follow-up letter to this customer, create a product description based on all of this information. Um, you know, compare data, match up, you know, look at the customer's interests compared to what they've bought, and then like write a comparison summary. You know, there's so many things like that that are really easy to do.
So many different perspectives from which to take data and extend the data, constrain it, manipulate to get almost any kind of direction you want to go. It's
Yeah,
just amazing.
but
Expands
yeah,
the usefulness of a database structure hundreds of folds.
it's a different skill set, and you have to get it to a certain level of finish before you can really
Right,
have it in production and before it
right.
kind of really makes sense. So I think
Sure.
to deploy. So I think even at this time where we are now,
Early AI.
there's not a ton of deployed AI in
No.
our regular old daily FileMaker solutions. I think people are playing with it. There's a lot of stuff
Right.
that's in like in testing in many different databases.
Just barely into adolescence, and we're all just getting exposed and looking for
Well, I mean, AI
opportunities
is
to
super
employ it.
mature, right? I mean, like I use it. Well, I mean, I use ChatGPT for things that are
Right.
significantly integrated and polished and working and with
Right.
very high degree of trust because I know how to use it, right?
Okay.
I'm not doing a one shot. Chris and I nerd out a lot about this, and in previous episodes we talk about how, like in the very last one, personalization. The more the AI engines you're using know about you, what you want, what you need, who you are, and the more they have been sent what the data is that's the source of truth,
Right.
then the better the reasoning engine can be to give you the thing that you want out of it. So you have these two huge sets of input: who I am and what is the truth. And that's not easy. That takes some work and some thought and some skill. But it's
Yeah.
actually made crazy easier by some of the new things and the new features in FileMaker that I didn't really even realize how powerful they were until quite recently. Even though I've been playing with them, you know, since the new version came out months ago.
I'd like to know the day when we were able to start doing music and sound manipulation more with FileMaker and AI. I use Gemini for imagery creation and sometimes sound production because I'm doing all our videos myself for full access, and like I said, I design labels for honey farms and things like that, and I use AI for that. So I'm
Yep.
more on the imagery side. And there's some struggles. It's not consistent in what it reproduces, and there's spelling errors. But I've been looking more at the kind of the user interface end of it, while you guys are heavily doing more of the data manipulation. And that's still a world I'm, like most of us, moving into gradually because I don't have a customer base yet to justify the time investment. It's just, for me, it's free time where I'm learning and yet trying to. I think I'm kind of waiting for the business environment to kind of catch up with AI, where people start to realize more how we could use it in different ways. So,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
the business opportunities are going to arrive shortly after the technology's been invented.
Yeah, you can't. It's a you can't say, hey, here's some cool AI. How do we shoehorn this into what you do? It has to be like, these are some business needs we have that
Right.
make much more sense to be solved with AI than any other way.
Especially when it comes to business intelligence stuff, right?
Yeah, and there's some like, you
Yeah.
know, there's some super ridiculously obvious ones like translation. Like
Right.
if you have anything in your database that's in multiple languages,
Right.
you know, you can
Localizing.
translate it. Yeah, because and it'll do much more than just like, you know, translate this thing. In my little database that I'm using to learn Greek, I have an AI call that I put in a verb of something that I'm trying to learn. For example, in my world of music, it might not just be some regular verb, whatever. It might be something really specific to music,
Right.
like crescendo, decrescendo, or something like
Esoteric.
that. Well, not esoteric, but like really specific to that
Okay.
world. And so I can put those kind of terms in for that area. And then an AI call will take the English word, translate it to the most close one that it actually makes sense. For a music term, that might not be a direct translation. Then conjugate it to one of the six, you know, I, you plural, we, and then come up with all the forms of that, like I conduct, I have conducted, I will conduct, You have conducted, you should, and if it's an irregular verb, that's pretty complex, right? So now I can basically just push a button and have all that stuff done in AI, comes back with JSON, creates records in FileMaker,
How do you do
and
grammar
then,
correction? How do you do grammar correction?
oh, well, I mean, does all that too, right? And
Does
then
it?
some of the stuff that I'm looking at is phrases too. It's not just necessarily words. So this is not your regular old flashcard system where you can just go get this.
Right.
There certainly are a lot of those things. But then now I have a flashcard. I can say, okay, go randomize this thing and come up with a, I want to be able to hear in rehearsal, go to measure 37 and take it more slowly or something like that, and be able to have that be in my head for Greek and understand
Right. You're a
what that
musician.
sentence would sound like, because that's pretty specific to music. Anyway,
Um,
and it's also
at
been
one
super
point,
fun just to play with AI and do that. But like in that
no, it's
case, I mean,
great.
how else would I have done that? you know?
You got me thinking about some. So years ago, I did a fair amount of work for Electronic Arts, which is like the largest video game company in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And they do localization of their video games all over the world. I'm actually a character in one of their video games, right? It's kind of that's. I ran their library and quality control departments and stuff, and all in FileMaker. But I'm thinking, with the localization that they're doing, or any other companies doing, if we had had FileMaker and AI and all that back then, that would have been a lot less expensive and more thorough. You could have got a lot more languages out on any kind of product really fast.
Yeah.
So localization ought to be a huge outlet or implementation of AI as we go.
Yeah, could be. I mean, you could have, as you were saying it, I don't know if I'd really want to build it, but you could have a database that all of the dialog boxes and label names and messages and things like that are part of a big JSON or some stored somewhere, right?
Right.
And in English, rather than saying, show button, show a dialog box with X, are you sure you want to delete this record? And then when the user comes in, if you could maybe have some pre-done languages, but you could also say, oh, I want to use this database in Portuguese, and that's not one of your languages. You can have an AI call say, okay, go take these, 473 phrases that are in the database that are in English, translate them all to Portuguese, bring back a JSON object with all of them in Portuguese, and poof, the
Right.
database is in Portuguese.
Nice.
Not easy to do, but totally doable if you build a structure for it.
Right. And then the fact that the
And then you don't
FileMaker's
have to pre-do it, right? You could just
right.
let a user pick a language and whatever they want to do, I don't know.
All this integration with JSON is going to make it so much more logical and easier
Yep.
to
Yeah,
manipulate. Yeah.
AI
Extract.
loves JSON. The structure, the
Yeah.
regularity, it's extremely good at it doesn't make a lot of errors with it, right? So like in FileMaker,
Right.
you can tell it stuff, and because it's not as mainstream, it can invent things. But with JSON, it doesn't do that much.
All of this had to come together organically over time that FileMaker started using JSON. Because what if AI had come out and we were all still just using raw XML? It would have been a lot harder to work with, right?
Yeah, well, JSON and XML are very close cousins, though, right? I mean, they're
Right.
both
But
just structured text. Just JSON is easier to read,
right.
and they both.
But
are
it's an
similar
evolution
age.
on it. I think JSON's easier to work with, especially for arrays and stuff, right? So
Yeah,
it's an
well,
evolution.
but I'm not. I actually should get a little bit more information on it. They're only like a year or two apart in age,
Really?
and they're both very old. Like I don't know, 20, 30 something years old. They've been around a long time. XML has like the XSLT and has some other stuff with it. JSON's really just the text language, and I think as a result, it's much easier to read. It's much more human readable for me.
Right. As a more narrower focus, it just does what it does. Yeah.
Yeah, but it still is. It still can take any type of structured data, right? Which I love, and then of course we have the native FileMaker functions that we didn't have with XML.
Right. I've written several dozen JSON custom functions using the while. I mean, I have a couple of custom functions I've written with JSON that have triple nested while functions
boy.
inside of it. Yeah. And building, extracting, we got to this thing when I was working for a medical company a couple of years ago, where if we named the variables consistent with the tags or the field names, then really easy to take a custom function, create JSON really simply and extract it, and not even know that you're working with JSON. You're just working with a function and some fields. There's so much you can do. We're going to be doing a number of JSON and JSON custom functions, like 3 or 4 classes at full access, along
Yeah.
with about 4 classes
Yeah,
on AI.
Kevin's like, I don't know. I don't use JSON custom functions. For me, like the regular features of it are kind of good enough.
Well, it depends on what
But
you're
I know
doing.
that when you get to the higher level, there's a lot of other things like using JSON query, and a lot of the stuff that Kevin Frank
Right.
does and some others are very very much next level.
Well, we were
But
extracting complex medical data for a patient across all their providers and their
yeah,
entire
that's a
medical history, dealing with all the laws and governmental controls
that's
in
a whole
America, and
different deal.
downloading it through APIs, and
Yep.
it got crazy. I wrote something like, oh my God, 200,000 lines of script for this company.
Yeah. Of
Yeah,
course, using AI for that now because you could just say, "Here's the JSON.
right.
Tell me,
Could do that.
give me a list of all the drugs that this patient has been prescribed in the last 3 years,
Right.
and
You know, you just
what potential interactions might exist or something without having to
exactly
do any
all of that
parsing."
work that I've done.
Yeah.
I've actually rewritten a thing called Medra, which is the universal database of all human known diseases. And
Oh
and that's
wow.
in a weird top-down structure that they give you in ASCII files. And yeah, to manipulate that with JSON and build a structure that's very fast and indexed, so you can do searches on anything real quick. That was a lot of fun. You mentioned JSON query, and so I think the man who wrote that is Steve Herrera, if I'm pronouncing that right.
And there's that new version, right? It's out now.
Yeah, and so Kevin Frank is going to be covering JSON query at full access because Steve can't come, right? We also have Roger Jakes coming, who is credited for inventing Anchor Buoy. So
Whoa,
Roger
really?
Jakes, yeah, and
I didn't know
yeah,
he did that. Yeah,
yeah, he
hats
used to
off.
work for Sliant back then.
Yeah.
We actually have Clay Makel, the senior engineer at Attire at Claris is going to be there. I believe Rick Coleman's going to be there.
Yeah, you got that.
Vince Manano's going to be there. Richard Carlton, he doesn't live very far from me. He's like an hour from me.
Yeah,
And he
I've
called me
seen some
last week. We're just gradually, after all these years, building a friendship. But I think it's because I'm doing this, and that's kind of like, oh, now I'm coming more to the front of the game. So, he goes, I'm going to fly up there and let's go have lunch. So he took me for a ride in his helicopter. And we had lunch and we talked. And he goes, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to go there and he does his podcast every
Yeah,
day, right?
daily.
12 to
Yeah,
1.
yeah.
He's going to do that at full access for 3 days in a row, his podcast, live right there interviewing people. And that's cool. And he put a few videos up for us. So we're getting a lot of significant players and then a lot of smart people, and then a lot of people you wouldn't know who are invisible but really wicked, smart, and very generous, coming together to share all this stuff and lift you. We also have a scholarship program for college students. We're trying to attract a few. We were looking at it with the economy changing. There are young people getting degrees in computer science, and they're like, they need to know a little more than they get in school to get a good career. And we think if they
The
learn
Apple
FileMaker
Developer
and AI,
Academy is another group of people. Like in my classes,
right?
I'm in working with
Yeah.
Claris to teach the teachers for the Apple Developer Academy people, because they really want to roll that out big, and having them have access to some
Interesting.
deeper level technical things and some more structured training, I think is great. So yeah, I would.
In theory, we could feed people to you who would come to a conference like this, get excited, and you could train them. We thought about doing this 1 year, but things are going so well. We built such an infrastructure with this event that we're like, doing it a second year is going to be 90% less work because we've done all the hard work. We know what we're doing. We have a team. So we're probably going to throw one up either in Vancouver.
60% less work.
Yeah, something like that. We're either going to be in Vancouver, British Columbia, or like on the Olympic Peninsula or somewhere out there. We'll do it again next year, and then because we spent a lot of money putting this together the first year, the cash will allow us to offer more scholarships than we're offering now. We have a little bit of money, right? And
Why are you
then we
staying
can
West
really
Coast?
market it.
Why not more East Coast or Central? Because since
Well,
like 2/3 of the people
it's
in the
because
US
Paz was working in Georgia for so long, so many years. The Scarpetta group did a wonderful conference called Build, Grow, Learn. That was in Greenville. I was there at it last year. I spoke there. But like the West Coast people and the Canadians are like, we don't want to travel all the way across the country again. Where are the West Coast conferences? Because even Claris is in Texas now, right? So we figured it was time for the West Coast, and there's a lot of developers in California, Oregon, Portland, as you know, in Portland.
Big time.
Shouldn't be too hard to get people. We have a number of people coming from Portland. We got Chris Irvine coming. Mike Sloper is coming.
Oh, yeah. Two of my favorite people.
A few other people. Trying to remember who, but Chris Irvine's bringing 3 people.
Yeah, he's building
John,
his company. He's doing great.
is he doing? That's great. John Newhoff is a platinum. He's in Seattle, right? And he's sending like 3 people, I think, and he's actually one of our sponsors.
Portage
So we
Bay,
have a
they
lot
got
of West
people
Coast.
up there.
What's that?
Portage Bay is up there, but I think their people are all over.
That's
Not
John
just-
Newhoff, Portage
Yeah.
Bay. Yeah, so they're very involved in our conference. He's actually giving sessions and he's sponsoring. He's just signed up another person from his team today, a guy named Lon. We have someone coming from Seed Code too, which is nice. John sending somebody. So there's a lot of West Coast, and Mike Ross, who's my LLC partner in this and my steering committee partner, and he lives in Olympia, Washington, Lacey.
Yeah, I know him well.
So this is a
Years
West
ago,
Coast.
He and I would do the Seattle and Portland user groups, and we used to
Right.
have like the I can't remember, the West Coast tour, I think is what we called it, where
Yes,
speakers
exactly.
would come in, they would go to Seattle on Monday, Portland Tuesday, the Wedge on Wednesday when they used to do that, in LA on Thursday or Friday.
I did that route a couple times myself.
It was
Yeah, that
great.
was fun.
It was fun.
Talking about session
You
model
get
and
to
stuff
talk
in
to
the
a
old
lot of
days.
people back then. Cool. All right. Any other stuff you want to?
I don't know. You want to see the website or the app or anything that we're doing?
Yeah, we could show it. So like this podcast
website.
is both YouTube and audio. But yeah, show
Okay. Share your screen.
show their website. Yeah, share your screen.
Tell me if I resized my monitor so it wouldn't be quite as large. Does that work for you?
Yep, I see it.
Here, it's not taking as because I have these giant monitors here, right?
You're on Windows
And we have
now?
a Slack
Oh,
channel
wow,
with
weird.
20. What's that?
You're on Windows right this minute. Crazy.
Oh, yeah, I do most of my. I have a KVM switch box 4K where I can switch between. I got a Mac Mini and 3 Windows computers and an iMac, and I got like 9 computers, and I just switch between them. But I'm a Windows developer because most of my customers have been on Windows, so I start
have
there.
exactly one computer I use right.
Really?
Yeah. So,
I can't work anywhere. I have to be in my office here. I've got like 12 running feet of monitors, and I need to see it all.
I have my one big Apple Studio display or whatever, and my 16-inch MacBook Pro, and it seems
There you
to be
go.
fine for what I need to do. But also, like my life. Well, I don't want to take too far off. What I'm trying to do for training is take everything that I know in FileMaker and compartmentalize it into some things that show people what to learn and what not to learn, like what's old. And then also make it as easy as possible to give tools that are actually going to get you to where you need to be. That's kind of my goal, right?
Do you teach anything like
But let's
data
go to the website
normalization forms?
Yeah,
Sorry?
yeah, we teach some of that. Although,
Because
but that's kind of less important.
is it?
Well,
Is it?
because since the graph, the relationship graph, is mostly in service of layout design and secondarily for structure. Normalization is super important in terms of whether to have, what's a attribute and what's an entity, like
Right? Absolutely.
which, where do you define normalization? Do you put a phone number into the person table, or do you have a separate phone table so you can have any number of phone numbers?
The most important thing is really managing redundancy, right?
Yeah. Right. So like in that case, right? So you don't want to have a phone 1, phone 2, phone 3 people. But if most of your data is really only ever going to have 1 or 2 phone numbers, 1 or 2 email addresses, when is it acceptable to not have a child table? It's kind of those are the decisions I try to take people through. Anyway, we're looking at your website right now.
I'm glad that you're doing that though, because I always advocate that data normalization should be an essential part of training.
Yeah. And it is.
Yeah. So thank you for teaching like that. Website. So this is our homepage, right? And it's pretty long. That's actually a picture looking out one of the windows at the Jesuit Retreat Center.
Ooh, nice.
I'll show you pictures of the facility in a moment. It's gorgeous. We have a little news section here. Prices are going up. It's been really cheap. We're doing this at cost. It's less than $1,000, but the price is going up Saturday. And then here was the thing from Richard Carlton, his announcement. These are all links to different websites and YouTube, right? And then we have a Go app that Dennis wrote that's,
cool.
again, WebDirect and FileMaker Go, useful thing so you can have it in your hand when you're at the event. Favorite which session and where. He actually got a thing in there that, where am I standing? Where's my room? And it will actually click over to maps and take you to your room.
Oh, that's
built
nice.
through the FileMaker.
like
So
that.
it's We're trying to make it real simple. So then we have another section in the
driving
news.
directions.
I have a driving video, so if I were to go to the YouTube channel, and I won't let it go too far, but
Oh, YouTube channel. That's a good idea.
we have a YouTube channel. Here's my flight with Richard and the apps, and we have a bunch of different videos, but there is...
Post this one there.
I could, yes, thank you. And they get embedded here. There's this particular one is a driving one, so you can hear the music probably.
Yeah.
I went, let me turn the volume off. I went to the Jesuit Retreat Center and I bought a gimbal, right, and a film grip, and I put my brand new iPhone 16 on there.
Make it easy.
And I literally drove the whole road all the way up there, and then I came and narrated. Oops, I don't want Stephen Colbert. Was not my intention.
Got ads in there, huh?
Yeah, well, no, I watch a lot of YouTube. So this is a trip up the road. I've got other ones that show you the top of the facility. And then I narrated and I learned iMovie and made all these wonderful videos that tell you where to go, where to park, where you check in, some of the beautiful buildings. And that's not the prettiest one, but this is a very pretty
You
facility.
might solve a problem that doesn't need to be solved, and people can figure that stuff out. But it's also really good marketing to see just how beautiful the place is and the drive is.
But the roads are a little complicated and the parking's strict, so we had to do it. Yeah. So we have a ton of videos, and these are all the videos that are embedded in our YouTube page. This is all the main page, and here's some of the pricing and details.
Yeah.
And then we go into a list of just the featured sessions. We change that every week. Just a little about the sessions. Oh, you want to go hear about the while function, or you want to hear about virtual lists. We're going to have a team with Kevin Frank and Alan Poole. You know him. He's in Portland. So that's that.
That's great.
At the bottom, we talk about the Computer History Museum, right? So, and then we got footers and counter. But that's only the main page. The general schedule is like what I call general schedule. It just lists what the time breaks out. That's just a super but simple. What hour is what happening? But if you go into the sessions page, you literally find out every session. So we're doing
Yeah, this is really good design.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And there's several people involved in this. On Monday at, let me just find the right session, 3:30. Well, let's go to the opening
Execution
session.
Squad.
Got a lot here. Opening session. So if I click, you can go to the profile of it. I click on that. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be looking at Mike Ross's profile.
Nice, yeah.
And it'll tell me all the sessions he's giving, right?
Oh, wow, yeah.
And that's still going to, the red's going to turn green.
It's almost like it's a relational database.
It is. Well, and then if I go into the session itself, it's going to show me all the people that are going to teach it with their faces, and you can go to any of their websites or see their profiles.
Yeah, this is as well or better design of any conference website I've seen. I really like it. Some of the ones I look at, I get frustrated. It's like, where's the schedule? What's happening such and such day? Blah, blah, blah. But
we've got question. Every meeting has 9, 10, 12 people in it. We have a volunteer staff of 20 people, and so many people are giving feedback to every little hovers and everything. We're trying to make it professional. If I go to the attending page, this will show you everybody who's coming. And what we do is we have these hats like I'm wearing, and I tell everybody who wants to come or is going to come, if I send you a hat, I pay for it out of my pocket, and would you take a picture and let us put it on the website? So we have dozens of people that are attending. At the top,
you didn't send me one. Well, I'm a little ways away.
I can send you one. I will send you one. I got to get your mailing address. I'll send you one.
We don't have a mailing address. You can't really receive things here.
Oh, really?
I live in rural Crete, and honestly, it's hard to get things delivered. I have to
Really?
Yeah.
Just to get a hat to you is like a pain in the ass, really?
To get anything delivered here.
Really?
Yeah. The village that we live in doesn't have street numbers or really even street names.
Wow. Okay.
So,
well,
it's a small enough village that if you just send it to my name, it'll go to the local cafe, and you can kind of go there and pick it up. But even
you travel, right? You do travel. So you tell me where you're going to be somewhere, and I'll ship it to a hotel.
Yeah, that could work. Well, the other thing, what I usually do is you could ship it to an actual business in a larger place. And just go there and pick it up. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. We'll work it out. I'll send you some goodies about the event. We also have pens cases and cases of pens that we did I'm pulling out here.
This is cool. Well, we got to wrap here in a second, but I'm loving this site. This is really, really
Let me show you just this. So we have the attendees, and you can learn everybody about who's coming if they choose or not to share their picture, their phone number, their email. I go to Brian Penhusen, and I look at his profile, and it's going to tell me whatever we know about him, right?
Oh,
And his website, and you can go to his business and what
nice.
classes he's teaching. There's a register page there. You can log into the account and change things. There's
Yeah, that's
a
cool. An
wonderful,
account.
yeah, and there's a wonderful FAQ page that expands and turns red when you do it, and you can look at all the different things. It's well designed.
Yeah, I really like it. All right,
Not by me, by my team.
let's wrap that part.
Okay. Anything else you want to see there?
What are we at? We at 2.3 hours of recording here? No, just like an hour.
I'll
No,
stop
this is
my
great.
share.
I mean, really what we want is we want people to go to the fullaccess.us webpage and take a look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Please take a look and go and some of it's going to be live streamed and placed on YouTube and Vimeo. We have a post-production team.
Cool. And then our session's going to be recorded and available later too?
Some of the sessions will, some will not. And basically how we determine that is we've already committed 3 sessions that will be live streamed, and the rest will be recorded, but only by consensus with everybody in the room, so they feel safe with their privacy. Right. If everybody's like, "I'm cool," we film the whole thing and we produce it and put it on YouTube. If not, we don't. And it depends on the topic too. So we're a little sensitive, but there'll be a lot of YouTube videos after the event for sure, and Vimeo as well. We have a member of our team who's up in another guy who's in Portland. I don't know if you know Dean Sewer, if you ever heard of him before.
Oh, he's great. I love that guy.
He's great. So
he
does a lot
with
with
coming to the meetings that we had.
Right. He does a lot with child terminal illnesses, and he knows a lot about recording and all the connectivity for a conference. So he's volunteered to do all that for us.
Yeah. He's got mad skills, that's for sure, in a lot of areas.
Great guy.
Amazing focus and super nice too. All right, cool. Well, I think that's it for today. It's always great to talk with you. I'm sad that I won't be able to be there because it's 10,000 kilometers from me.
We'll send you some merch so you can live virtually, and I got some ideas.
I got to focus on the conferences around me. So I'll be in a couple of weeks in the one in Naples, Italy, because unfortunately you have to, go to Naples.
Oh, you got to go to Italy. Oh,
I know. And then Antwerp for the Engage You. And then there's other conferences here, Spain, France. Like there's so many in Europe. Yeah, some of them are in local languages though.
I've been to Germany and Poland and England, and I want to go back, but I haven't been to the rest of Europe. I'm starving myself for that kind of culture. Yeah.
Well, Engage You in November.
Okay.
If you're in the U.S. and you're thinking about one conference to go to, that's the one you should think about.
Oh, overseas. If it's not this one.
If it's not this one. So what I mean is, if one conference in Europe, did I not say
that?
Yeah,
in Europe. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the one in Antwerp?
Yeah, in Antwerp this year. They go to different places, but this year it's in Antwerp.
Yeah, okay. I've been to .fmp, and I remember that was nice, and
that's done now, right? So that the .fmp.
Yeah.
So now there's one. Trying to remember the name. That's kind of taken over, like basically the same spot.
Okay.
And that one's in Austria now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Vienna.
Good. Well, I hope you have fun at those.
One of my favorite cities in the world. Okay. Sweet. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you.
All right.